back to the Panic Room, everyone, and to another tag video today. So guys, Gareth did it again over at Book Songs and Other Magic. Today we're going to be doing the Jim Henson book tag. And I love the Muppets. Actually, I grew up on the Muppet Babies. Yeah, I didn't watch like the actual Muppets until a little bit later, but I can still hear the Muppet Babies theme song in my head. And I want to know, comment down below, tell me who is your favorite Muppet. I have a hard time picking, but I like the Yip Yips. Yeah, you guys remember the Yip Yips? Like yip, 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 yeah, I love the Yip Yips. And special mention to, I think it's Bleeker, the one who is like, woo, you know, like, he assists the dude in the green, the scientist guy. I think it's Bleeker. I like him too. So, but comment down below, I want to know your favorite Muppet. Alright, so let's jump into this. Prompt number 1 is Sesame Street. Name a book that taught you something. Easy. The Madman's Library. I did a whole series of videos on that book. I found it via the podcast Mysterious Universe. If you're into weird shit, highly recommend that podcast. They are funny as hell. It's 2 Australian guys, and they talk about some whacked out books. Love it. So The Madman's Library was a treat. It was so well written, but it was a history book, essentially. And it's all about, like, these different types of books, like big books, small books, books wrapped in human skin, you know, things like that. And I learned so much there and had a ball doing it, might I add. So if you guys are interested, like I said, I go, you know, chapter by chapter. I have a whole series of videos on it. But I highly recommend that book, especially if you were into, like, weird book history. Can't go wrong with that. The Madman's Library. Alright, prompt number 2, Muppet Show. Name a book that has an unpredictability in its story. I gotta go with John Dies at the End. Nothing about the David Wong books that I've read have been predictable. John Dies at the End is the first one, then there's This Book is Full of Spiders. Both of those could be classified as unpredictable. Definitely weird, definitely out there, some horror elements, but beautifully done. An out there story about, like, string theory and universes and meat men and cockroaches and just all kinds of shit. So yeah, if we're gonna talk unpredictability, I really, really think that John Dies at the End probably gets the crown for that, at least to me. Alright, prompt number 3, Muppet Show's Newscaster. What book tackled a current political or social issue well? You guys know I don't deal in politics, but I do have an answer for this. And Then I Woke Up by Malcolm Devlin. This tackles, it's actually social and political to me, the issue of differences and how we perceive people and how we act about that. And this is the most non-political view of that I have ever read. It's super thin, it's under 200 pages. Highly recommend. This tackles that whole idea of differences in the human species and how we react to each other beautifully and makes some damn fine points during it. So, And Then I Woke Up. Prompt number 4, Dark Crystal. Name a book that has an excellent example of world building. The best example of world building to me is the Sword of Truth series by Terry Goodkind. That series, the world that he builds, the intricacies of the characters, how everything fits together, the systems of, like, magic and government, everything is just so perfect to me. I love that series. You get so involved in these characters' lives, like, you can almost smell their dinner, okay? Like, that's how real this whole thing is. The creatures, you know, I've heard some of my people who read more fantasy, more magic than I do, because I don't read a lot of that. There is an element of magic in these stories, and it's so well done, like, it actually makes sense, if that makes sense at all. The idea that he puts forth about, like, there being positive and negative attributes to a magical system is just really well thought out, I thought. So, I'm not going to go any further. You guys know it's my favorite book series of all time. The Sword of Truth series by Terry Goodkind. Excellent world building. Prompt number 5, Labyrinth. Ugh, I love that movie. David Bowie. Name a book with a great friendship in the story. Okay, I'm going to pull one that I haven't done in a while, and that's Hellcat. I got that book from Josh over at Coffee Cats and King, and there's just a really good friendship in that book between the main character and his buddy. And I don't know, it's kind of heartwarming, actually. Like, they go through a lot of shit together. And there's a lot of times where the friend's like, you're insane, but that's what friends would do, you know? I don't know, I really liked their dynamic, so I'm gonna go with Hellcat. Prompt number 6, The Storyteller. Name a book with great storytelling. There's a lot, but the one that jumped to my mind when I read this was a recent read of mine, Ungodly by Braden Riddick. I hope I'm saying his name right. It was just a damn fine story. You know, I really think that sometimes that's what it comes down to. Yes, it was religious horror. Yes, you guys know I'm a huge fan of that. But it really was just a damn fine story. It kept you engaged. It had good character development. All of it. I really think that sometimes that's what everything boils down to. And Ungodly was a really good example of that. Like, he just told a really good story. So, Ungodly by Braden Riddick. All right, prompt number 7, Farscape. Name a book that is wild, weird, and unpredictable. Okay, I'm going to give you 2. The first one is The Children God Forgot. There's a poop explosion. Okay? There's a poop explosion. That book was insane. Just absolutely insane. The decision-making of some of those characters was just out there. But the other one that I want to say is Perpetual Dread by Brian Boyer. It's a collection of short stories, and I was reading that just laughing like, what are we doing? This is insane. Brian has a really good way of taking his reader on a wild ride, and Perpetual Dread delivered on that. So, wild, weird, and unpredictable, yeah, I think that really sums up Perpetual Dread and The Children God Forgot. Prompt number 8, Dinosaurs. Name a book with a great monster in it. All right, I'm going to go with an indie author for this one. Brian Smith's Consuming Darkness. He sent me that as an ARC, which was super sweet of him. And there's a really cool monster in that book. You kind of get to follow a bunch of characters in this town as they kind of figure it out. It's really neat. I don't want to go too far into it. It's not a super thick book, but there's a really cool monster in that book. And some of its powers are horrific. You talk about some good, like, bloody scenes. That one was excellent. So, Consuming Darkness by Brian Smith. Number 9, The Neverending Story. Oh, I love that movie. It's such a good movie. Name a book that is too long. Okay, I don't necessarily think a book is too long as it fits the narrative. So for me, the one book that I struggled to get through, that I still haven't revisited because I hated it so bad, was The Old Man and the Sea, which is like this big. I thought that book was way too long because it's about a man fishing. And I know, before you comment, there's so much like can be put into that. I get it. It bored me to tears. I freaking hated it. It was this big and it felt like it was this. So, yeah, I have to say, I think The Old Man and the Sea by Ernest Hemingway was way too long. And number 10, Fraggle Rock. Name a book with little creatures in it. I tried. I really did. I tried. I'm going to go with Earthlings because it has a little hedgehog on the cover and it does kind of feature in the book. So, it has one little creature in it. You know, I kept thinking, I was like, I should probably say like Goosebumps, you know, like the lawn gnome one. That one jumped into my head, but if I'm going to give a serious answer, let's go with Earthlings. It has a hedgehog in it, a little tiny yellow hedgehog. So, it fits. It does. Alright guys, that is it. The Jim Henson Tag. This was fun. You know, Jim Henson is one of those people that I feel like has just been this integral part of so many people's childhood without us actively knowing it, you know? Like, God, from the Muppet Babies to David Bowie and the Labyrinth, you know, it's just like he's always here. He's like on the Mount Rushmore of childhood, if that makes sense. But guys, thank you for hanging out for another tag video. Of course, if you like this, please hit like, hit subscribe. It would really help me out. And until next time, bye for now.